Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be doing another quick tip tactica. But rather than looking at some crazy combination, some maverick tactic, instead, I'm going to tell you about a combination that you need to include in every single one of your competitive guard lists. This is not an exaggeration. I'm not making a controversial classic Mordian Glory over the top point. If you are not including this tactic in your army, you are actively handicapping yourself. It is the definition of an auto include. And unless you're going for a very specific build, it should be the first thing that you put into your army. But what is this mega tactic? Well, it's a combination of units that I like to call the Supreme Command Squad. And you know what? Without further ado, let's dive right into today's episode. Before we get into the tactic itself, we need to understand a serious problem with the guard index, which is there is an absolute famine on tank orders. I mean, orders in general are definitely a lot less prevalent in the new index because no longer do our orders splash around. If you're getting into the guard for the first time in 10th edition, you might not understand what I mean by splashing orders. But what used to happen is an officer could issue an order to a squad, and if there were any other nearby squads, as long as they were within 6 inches of the original target, the original squad that had been ordered, they could also receive the same order. This meant that, for example, you could have 3 or 4 squads of infantry all receive first rank fire, second rank fire, but it would only cost you 1 order to do so. But in 10th edition, this mechanic is no more. Now, 1 order supports 1 unit. In the infantry, this is a bit annoying, but not too bad. Partly because now we can take 20-man squads rather than just 10-man units. And also because we have a lot of different infantry officers. We've got Cadian Castellans, we've got special characters who can do multiple orders naturally, like Creed and like Strachan. And we've even got people who aren't technically officers who can do orders as well, like Harker. And then you go over to Forge World and you've got the Death Corps Marshal, and then back to the index, you've got different command squads. My point is that there's loads of different sources of orders, and in a funny sort of way, you can still order 2 squads at once when you take a big 20-man blob, because it's like the old 2 10-man squads, right? But this issue becomes a really, really big pain in the ass when you go over to the tank corps. And this is because infantry officers can only order regiment units, not squadron. So a Cadian Castellan could boss around all of the Death Corps of Krieg, the Katachans. Hell, he could even boss around some Sentinels and field ordnance batteries. But the moment that something with tracks turns up, they do not listen to the little man who's trying to shout at them whilst wearing a funny hat. Instead, what you have is tank commanders. And these can issue 1 order to 1 tank. And they cost 240 points. So you have to spend more on the support unit, which can't even order itself, to support 1 tank. You're literally looking at 440 points for something like a tank commander and a Lemurs exterminator, just so one of your tanks can receive take aim, just so they don't hit on a 4+. It's a complete nothing. It's just not even an option. Don't even consider it. You could take a tank commander and give them Grand Strategist so they can do 2 orders, but it's still not really enough. You're going to have to spend 800, 900 points taking 2 tank commanders and 2 or 3 other vehicles, just so that you've got half of your vehicles hitting at a reasonable rate. It's just no. So how do we resolve this whole problem? How can we get good tank orders without spending nearly half of our army list on it? Well, this is where today's quick tip tactic comes in, because this is what the Supreme Command Squad does. It resolves this entire issue, and it's why it's so valuable, because it actually gets your guard armor out of the gate. What we start off with is Lord Solar Leontus. He is the big head honcho of the guard. He's the guy running around on the horse, waving a sword in the air, telling everyone what to do. Now, the big thing about Lord Solar Leontus is that he can order any guard unit. Unlike infantry officers, which say they can only order regimental, and tank commanders, which say they can only order squadron, the Lord Solar Leontus data sheet very clearly says that he can order any Astra Militarum unit. So from the lowliest Ratling all the way up to the biggest super heavy, everyone pays attention to what Lord Solar Leontus says. And what's more is he can do 3 orders. That is more than any other officer. That's even more than Creed. That's 3 tanks that you can suddenly start buffing up. And what's so good about this whole thing is he only costs 125 points. That is less than half the cost of a tank commander with Grand Strategist, and you can do 1 more order than that. You're spending less than half the points to get more orders. It's a no-brainer. That's the opposite of a non-starter. That's a no-brainer. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mordian Glory, this is a really long-winded way of just saying, take the Lord Solar in your list. Okay, I've shoved him in my list. It's fine. Problem solved, right? Well, not quite. Because the Lord Solar, whilst very good, does have a big problem. He's still shouting his orders at people. And that means that he can only tell people what to do if they are within 6 inches of him. Now, that means that you're going to have all your tanks crowded around this guy. That's going to make a bit of a blob. That's going to be a very tempting target. People want to like wrap you up, box you in your deployment zone. And it also just means your tanks won't be as flexible. You might need tanks over on the left flank, but you deployed your Lord Solar on the right flank and you crammed all the tanks around him. So you're out of position. That could cost you the game. This is where the second piece of the puzzle comes in. This is where you take a command squad. Now, it doesn't matter if you take a platoon command squad or a Cadian command squad, as long as it contains a Master Vox. I genuinely don't care what upgrades you give the officer, what upgrades you put on all the different guys. It doesn't matter. As long as one guy in that unit has a Master Vox, we're all set. Because the Master Vox allows any officer in the unit to do orders 24 inches away. It doesn't matter if the receiving unit has a Voxcaster, doesn't matter if it's a bunch of Ogrins, it doesn't matter. As long as there is an officer and a Master Vox in the same unit, that officer can do his orders to any unit within 24 inches. It basically extends the range of your orders by 4 times. But wait a second. Because I'm sure that some keen observing viewers will notice that you don't get a Lord Solar in a command squad. You get a platoon commander. And you can't add a Lord Solar onto a command squad, can you? They're 2 separate units. Or can you? You see, this is where the third and final piece of our puzzle comes in. This is where you take a battle line infantry unit. It doesn't matter which one you take. Katachans, Kriegers, Cadians, infantry squad, whichever you prefer, as long as it's battle line. Because in the guard, your infantry squads can have 2 leaders attached to them. So this means you could attach your command squad to your infantry unit, and then you could add your Lord Solar. And when they're all together in that one unit, they count as a single entity. So suddenly, there is now a Master Vox in the same unit as the Lord Solar. And he is an officer, so now the Lord Solar's orders can go up to 24 inches away, and you can do your orders to almost any of the tanks that you need to on the battlefield. So in summary, if you are struggling with getting your tanks orders and you want a cheap and effective solution, you need to take 1 infantry squad, 1 platoon command squad, and the Lord Solar, mash them all together, and this will create the Supreme Command Squad. Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you believe that this is an auto-include, or can competitive guard lists get by without it? If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier patrons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a massive thank you to Bonbonvert, Ken Starr, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. You are incredible. Your generosity is truly humbling, and I could just say 1,000 times over and over again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.